Why everyone, consumers and agents alike, need to really be paying close attention to what's happening with Zillow. You've seen the other videos. I'm going to link them here in regards to the RICO case, Zillow collapsing, this whole issue, and I want to discuss it more objectively, right? I already leaked a lot of the messages and you can watch those videos, but why is this such a concern? Why should this be an eye opener? And why do you need to be paying attention and moving accordingly, whether you're an agent or a consumer? Now, let's take a look at it. Zillow originally came out and gave information in an accessible way to people who are out there, the regular consumer, window shopper, and everybody. All seems fun and fair, right? Now, they started adding a layer where now they started promoting listings and everything. And this is where the issues started to come in, just so people understand it fundamentally. So me being a real estate agent, and this is something that upset me initially until I really understood it, I would get a listing, right? We would put it on the MLS. National Association of Realtors basically struck a deal with Zillow and a lot of these online companies and said, hey, we'll share our information with you. Now, in regards to the accuracy, I'm not sure. Overall, on all the platforms, I know that they're a little bit behind, and sometimes there are inaccuracies between Zillow and the MLS and what we have on the agent side. The MLS is the multiple listing service, if you didn't know what that is. So essentially, it was put up, again, seems harmless, right? Now, they started advertising and selling back to agents because the amount of users went on the platform. They saw an ability to make money and said, hey, we can profit off of this. So they started taking our information. Let me give you an example. It's my listing. It's now on their website, and you, the consumer, are now looking and browsing. Seems innocent. But now the people who pay get put front and center, and you as the consumer, again, from a transparency standpoint, you see Agent Bob Smith right there, call him to get more information. You automatically assume that that agent is the listing agent. Now, some consumers out there might know that that's not necessarily the listing agent. However, the lion's share of them, most of them don't know. Now, a lot of them would be wanting to reach out as if they were driving by, they saw the sign, hey, Bryan listed that property, let me call him. But you got to scroll all the way to the bottom, and in little gray text you see in like a font this big, you'll see my name, listing provided by me. So because NAR sold out, and a lot of the local boards feed into this because they're all under the National Association of Realtors, which, by the way, you saw that news recently. They're leaving it up to the boards to see if we still have to pay that membership to NAR, which I think is a little bit too late, but at least it's a step in the right direction. Now, again, Zillow's not being transparent. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up initially as we start to unpack this is Zillow claims, and the market, the consumer, assumes that agents are shady. We want to hide information and be using weird, closed, behind the door tactics on them, right? And they believe that Zillow is being totally transparent. How do we know this? Well, if you're an agent, you can comment below and the consumers can see. How many times have you knocked on a door or talked to somebody and they said, hey, Zillow said my home was worth $300,000 more. I'm excited. My Zestimate went up. Okay. Now, if you look in the fine print on Zillow, they say their Zestimates are inaccurate up to 10 to 15%. And in some cases, it's way more. Why? Because it's an algorithm. It doesn't know the local markets and shifts. Like I remember when I started my real estate career in Southern California, there was some cities and areas where you crossed an avenue and prices fluctuated 10, 20% sometimes, or even more. But the algorithm is not going to take that into account. It's just going to do a rolling average, right? But again, the consumer started assuming that Zillow was more transparent than us. Now, this creates a problem because of what I just said. Okay? Now, let's look at what's happening right now with these cases. What's happening? Zillow is, again, they have a flex program, referrals, this and that. But what's happening behind the scenes? They're now trying to involve Zillow home loans and saying, hey, we'll give you kickbacks. We'll incentivize if you push people to Zillow home loans. Why? We'll give you more leads. We'll give you more money, so on and so forth. Now, again, think about that. If they're putting quotas for you to stay in that program, giving you money and incentives to just send those consumers to Zillow home loans instead of another lender, are they really looking out for the best interest of the consumer? And the answer is no. They're going off of profit because the average consumer, even if I or someone else is going to recommend a lender to them, they're still going to shop around. Now, if I'm on that program and Zillow is feeding me leads And I know, hey, if I don't hit that quota, or if I send them more people, they're going to give me more leads. You see the slippery slope here? Now, on top of that, Zillow, again, if you're the consumer watching this, is pushing to ban listings on their platform if you don't, if you do like an off-market listing. That's the whole thing with Compass. So they're trying to monopolize the platform to say, hey, we want only listings on Zillow. They're shooting for 90% plus. They're attempting to push towards a monopoly type thing. Now, if you're a consumer watching this, again, or an agent, remember, because I remember when I moved to Florida in 2021, in 2022, I saw their fail of an attempt, their huge catastrophic failure of trying to become a brokerage, where they were snatching up properties, trying to relist them and sell them. They've reported an $800 million plus loss that year. 800 million trying to be a brokerage. Then they step back from that. They were making mistakes. They don't know what they're doing. Okay. So we start adding all of this, and you look at a company that is not putting the consumer first, right? I know I'm giving you a quick Cliff Notes version, but you need to look at it from the standpoint of, first and foremost, take a look that they're not being transparent. All these conversations are being leaked, which you can watch in the other video that I posted, and I'll link it up here in the cards and at the end screen. And you need to really realize that as a consumer, you need to at least look at agents and these platforms on a level playing field, because right now, agents are viewed down in the dumps. And in some cases, you're right, because the average agent out there isn't taking it serious. So I hear you on that. However, these companies that a lot of you are putting your absolute blind faith in are worse, in quotes, than agents. They are admitting behind the scenes that they're doing this for money, and they're doing shady stuff. Look at the lawsuit. It's sticky. It's been escalated potentially to a RICO case, which is crazy. That means they're an organized criminal organization. Nuts, right? Organized crime. Yet, by default, you guys trust them. You'll go with the Zestimate over an agent who has more accurate and up-to-date information, knows the local market, and understands the nuance. Again, a skilled agent. I'm going to throw out, because people say, oh, the average agent. No, I'm talking about a skilled agent who's proficient at what they do. Let's keep that argument, right? Compared to Zillow. The public views Zillow here and agents here, which is incorrect. At the very least, I'm asking and requesting of people to view them equally. If you do it equally, then we can have a logical, rational discussion about this. But you need to see that this is a big corporation and they're only after profit. They don't care about the consumer. When we sign a contract with you, buyer or seller or investor, and we are your fiduciary, we have a fiduciary duty by law to protect your best interest. We are bound legally by that, by the Realtor Code of Ethics and all that other stuff. Zillow is a corporation that doesn't have that. So when you work with these companies and all this, and you bounce around from person to person, you're working with employees, not an agent directly who's your fiduciary, and you're just a number to them. You're another transaction. Now, is that to say that all agents are going to act like this? Of course not. But again, I'm highlighting specifically agents like myself, my team members, and people who are experts and proficient at what they do. This is why you need to be selective about who you decide to work with in regards to the agent that you hire and that you choose. But I want you guys to look at this thing correctly. Zillow is out there only to make money. Now, again, if you're newer here, I've been outspoken against Zillow the 13 years that I've been in the industry. I've always sawn through their BS. I looked right through it, right? I could read them immediately. And if any rep comes across this video and they have the courage to comment, they'll tell you. If they were there when I was at an event and a Zillow rep was there, I literally made fun of them when I was on stage and said, that is our enemy. And then they would smile and say, oh no, we're here to work with agents. Now, again, I think what's happening in regards to the legalities and the lawsuit is a fantastic step in the right direction. I don't think it'll fix the problem. However, if you're a consumer, this should be and must be a major eye-opener for you to see that these companies that, again, you're putting your blind trust and faith in aren't being transparent. They're not telling you what's up clearly. And you can see that they're telling you one thing, smiling in your face and stabbing you in the back. If you pay a higher rate and you don't get as good of a deal on a home, but you went with Zillow Home Loans, that's all they care about. Versus me, if I'm representing you and I know that my lender is not going to get you the best deal, me and my lender will both tell you, go with this other option or go with somebody else because it's not the best thing for you. If you're a seller working with me, I'm not going to force you to take an offer just because I want to get a commission check. Versus Zillow, they're going to push it through and either make it difficult for you to say no or really put a lot of pressure on you to try to take that offer. Why? They just want to churn the deal, get the money, and move on to the next one because you're just transaction number 535 instead of being a real human being. That's the difference here. And this is why I know people eventually are going to wake up to this over reliance on AI and technology and these big corporations. Because at the end of the day, we know, and you've seen it yourself, when the mom and pop shop that you love suddenly franchises and does everything only for making more money, what happens? Quality declines tremendously and you stop going and suddenly you hate it. I would hate to see that happen to the real estate industry, but if we keep feeding these giants, that's what's going to happen. Now, a message to the realtors. How many of you are still working with Zillow and giving them money? You're actively supporting something that is hurting the consumer. So we have to have limits on this thing. I have no problem with people having more transparency in the industry. I was actually fine with all of these web portals to a degree because then we're not the gatekeepers anymore for real estate in regards to information. They don't have to call us. And as a whole, it forces us to step up our game as agents and be more knowledgeable and more useful in the marketplace, which I think is a net positive overall, aside from little things that I might disagree with, because I'm all about raising the bar in the industry. Again, if you don't know me, that's cool. But at the end of the day, everything that I do and how I serve the community, my clients and other real estate agents, which I've helped thousands across the country at this point, it's to elevate, raise the bar, be better, do better, deliver better service, make our profession respected again and appreciated versus people just come, real estate. And I get it. A lot of them have bad experiences. So I can understand and I can empathize with their frustration thinking that we're overpaid or we're amateurs, or because they got burned in the past, they would assume most realtors are like that. I totally get it. But if you're an agent, stop feeding these monsters. This is why you need to really become a true entrepreneur in every sense of the word. Build your brand, build your business, and learn how to operate so that you are independent of these monsters, that you don't feed them, and that you don't feel like you need to. And I get it. A lot of people just want to throw money at them or be lazy, but there's so many other ways for you to generate leads and build your business aside from, working these corporations and giving them your money. Okay. So if you're the consumer, pay attention. And all I'm asking is that you take a different look and perspective on this thing, because what you believe about these companies like Zillow may not be true. And if you're an agent, make sure that you're building your business properly and that you're taking the right steps to not feed into monsters like that, and make sure that the work that you do secures your position, that you keep elevating your experience, your skill, and your status, and that you become the representation of what a good real estate agent should and must be. Okay, so I'll end it here. If you're a consumer and you need any real estate services, Team BC, I run a nationwide real estate team, more than happy to help you. Reach out to me on my website or drop a comment here and we can chat. Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. If you're an agent and you need help, I coach thousands of agents across the country. I've been coaching for 7 years, and I'm also recruiting for my team. If you might be interested, drop a comment, check out the links in the description, and navigate to where you need to go. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Have a good day.